Okay, hi guys, welcome to Treehouse number 23. So we're all eagerly awaiting the 6.1.3 rollout, which has now happened. So hopefully that has solved a lot of issues that everyone was having. So what I hear, it's pretty much all the critical bugs that were recorded by the team. And there's only a handful of other not so critical bugs left to fix. From what I hear, so hopefully that's really good. I haven't had a chance to sort of test any sites yet because that happened during the night for me. And yes, 6.1.4 isn't too far behind either, I think. So we'll be able to start rolling that out to live sites soon too. I think also in the 6.1.3, I think there was meant to be some performance updates too. They're just been delayed a little bit, so they should come out in 0.4. And for anyone who hasn't seen yet, they're now posted up on the release notes, so you can go through all the bug fixes that were made if you want to. So Aaron says, yeah, eager but scared. Yeah, it's a bit nerve-wracking to see if something critical hasn't been fixed for your particular site. But I have faith. I'm sure we'll get there. So that kind of brings me to the one topic that I wanted to discuss today, but this is definitely just an open meeting, so if you want to grab the mic and say anything at any time, just feel free to. But yeah, this rollout and just the end of life in general, certainly not been an easy time for a lot of us, so pretty stressful and busy. So I was wondering if anyone has sort of learnt anything from this experience that they wanted to share, or has any tips on retaining clients and working through these types of situations, because in the day and age we live in, these sorts of things come up all the time. Like COVID is another example, so I'm sure it's not going to be the last time that we all face these types of situations. So yeah, just curious if anyone's got any helpful insight to talk about, or problems they face that they're able to solve. I don't really have any tips of wisdom or anything like that, but hopefully.
Well, learning from our mistakes, Adam. It's well, I don't know if it's necessarily a mistake. We just didn't know at that time, or maybe we did, and we just chose one path only. But for us, we're not putting all our eggs in one basket, but also putting all our eggs in one basket, knowing that we have an escape plan elsewhere, is huge. We've had to move clients over to Shopify and a few sites to Duda. We haven't done any Duda sites in ages, but also just like making sure the clients know about your not an escape plan, but I keep using that word, but it's more about like, because I've had pretty much half my clients ask, what happens if what happened to BC happens to this platform, right? And at least we have some documentation that shows that, and we have enough of us that we could probably take the project on if we need be. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm so done with BC sites right now. I just I can't handle it anymore. So the clients that have been like dragging their feet, you're on the hook now yourself. So, which I know for sure, the day after it goes down, they're going to be emailing us, how come you didn't let us know? Well, here's your 1,000 emails we've sent to you, no response. Yeah. Even delivered read receipts we've got from you. So yeah. Anyways, the countdown is on. Excited.
Yeah, that's right. It is exciting. It's I want to see it just end. But but I mean, that's one of the biggest problems I face too with this is client response. Like, so many clients have just been non-committal, non-responsive to this whole situation. I guess they just don't see the magnitude like we do from our end. So I guess it's hard for them to comprehend. They just think we'll just flick it over somewhere else. What's the big deal? Also, I don't know. But yeah, so many clients have just left to the last minute or not even sort of shown any concern. So definitely client communication has been probably the biggest issue for me. But you mentioned like keeping or like your eggs in one basket, which is an interesting topic for me because I've always done that. BC I used exclusively for like how many years? Probably nearly 10 years or something. And I'm going to do the same with Treeple as well. So I think there's like drawbacks from like if you don't keep all your eggs in one basket, if you branch out, you've sort of got to learn different systems and you've got to sort of be proficient in more things. Whereas I try and, since I'm only one person, I want to be very proficient in one tool and just really be able to work in that efficiently. And I guess that's helped me too because getting out of BC, if I know it well, I can move out of it well as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess. But yeah,
we've kind of set up a 90-10 rule. If 90% of our websites are on Treeple, then 10% are on other platforms. And honestly, that was just more so because A, e-commerce wasn't ready yet, and B, there was some functionality that was missing. But in hindsight, probably 8 of those sites that I moved to Shopify would be on Treeple right now because the more I dive into Shopify, the more I'm realizing how bloody limiting it is from a customization point of view. Even down to like theme editing and stuff like that. I mean, it's easy once you know Liquid. It makes sense, but it's very proprietary, the platform. So if for some reason Shopify ever went down, that would be very difficult to capture the code base on that one because it just shows structural and reliant on scripts and CSS. Like it's crazy. Whereas Treeple, if you just skim the site, if they decide to move elsewhere, because people ask like, what if we decide to move the site elsewhere? Well, you can pretty much skim it. And aside from the proprietary tags that Treeple uses, WordPress uses their own tags and whatever other platform you use. So if anything, our code is cleaner than WordPress and Shopify. Like we have massive control. So so that's kind of where I'm at with that. And I hate saying this, but I'm in like the grumpy old bastard stage right now where I'm just not trying to be an asshole, but like seriously, I got no time for these slackers. Like my clients, and plus all the ones that are left behind are the ones that I probably charged the least amount for the sites back in the day, like old Muse sites and stuff, and like really no revenue generating. So honestly, if their site goes tits up, that's fine with me. So there's I got it all out.
Yeah, no, exactly how you feel. And I even made a page on my website that had like sort of like a countdown. Each month you were going to get charged more. As the migration went along, if you leave it the longer, you get charged more because it's crunch time. So it's all these tactics you got to sort of get them across the line. Yeah. So anything else other than that? Anyone learnt things from this, mistakes or tips on handling customers better or doing things better? I think, you mentioned Shopify. I haven't really dug into Shopify that deeply, but we did that poll. I might just share my screen to show that poll. Oops. Okay, so can everyone see the poll there now? So definitely majority of sites moving to WordPress and Shopify. So those clients that we are losing, or could be for any reason, but I dare say at the moment there's frustrations with the platform or uncertainty with moving to Treeple and clients want to go elsewhere. So what have you guys found with particularly WordPress and Shopify, why clients are moving in that direction?
Morning, everyone. Our biggest one is price.
Price, okay. Yeah, particularly in Australia, I think that's an issue, isn't it? Because we kind of got to almost double things. And most of the online services are US based or not really any homegrown stuff. So, I mean, Aaron, you mentioned Shopify because of functionality. Is that still the case of people finding functionality they need to move elsewhere due to functionality, or is Treeple covering that?
I think a lot of it comes down to where they've been approached from. I mean, a lot of the customers we have gone to WordPress, but it's predominantly because WordPress is so prevalent. I don't think they've necessarily chosen WordPress. It's just that they've gone out, they've got a bunch of quotes, and WordPress has chosen them.
Yeah, so just purely popularity, and
That's
they just
right.
think, well, that's the platform to use, isn't it? So
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's prevalent, number one platform out there. God knows why, but it is.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Shopify is. I think it's a big part of it is as trust factor. Just because they know the platform has been around and they know, they see ads on TV and they, but it's a bit misleading too with Shopify. Because it appears that it's cheap, like, at $29 USD a month for hosting, and if you pay for the year, you get 1 month off basically. Which looks attractive, but you're very limiting on what you can do. And the rates are higher and all that kind of stuff. And you have to use their integrated, shipping and all that kind of stuff. And then you jump to the next level, which is $79 US per month. But what's very misleading is there's like the platform itself doesn't do a lot. And so you either have to hire someone to do custom development or you have to get an app. And then so once you start adding all these apps in there, it's like you've gone from $29 hosting to $79 because some of the apps have to rely on that mid-level hosting to like, I don't know, $50 to $60 to $70 an app purchase. So now you're down to like $140 a month, and just like Shopify fees. So it's funny because when I do my quotes, I'm like, I have our development and design costs, and then I have the Shopify fees, and you're like, God, you're going to be paying like $1,000 to $1,500, a year for this. Yeah. So it's very misleading too. So they like the trust factor and they get into it and they're like, God, I didn't realize this is going to cost this much. So then back to Treeple, it's actually more affordable from a hosting point of view, but the development also is the key there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think I find that with a lot of these DIY systems, they look really appealing up front, they're low cost up front, but there's so many things the client's missing when they try and factor that in. Like, to go with a developer, yes, it might look like you're paying more, but you've got their backup and support and all that sort of stuff to guide you through all the so many things that you need to think about with a website or anything online. So yeah, there's a lot of deception, as you said. That's pretty hard to convey, I guess.
We had a really interesting use case. This is a couple of years ago. A client that I've had for years on BC, who had one site but 3 different points of distribution. So, we had different inventory and pricing and so on per region. So there's 3 different regions. We did a full costing on a direct feature shift to Shopify because the client was interested to look at that. So the fact that the Shopify couldn't extend to different regions was a real problem, which would have required 3 different sites. By the time we put on all the apps and all the different fees, it ended up being $1,100 per month is what it was going to cost them.
Wow.
So, they're paying $50, whatever it was on BC, and they're talking $1,100 a month for Shopify, which was just ridiculous.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
So what do you think, like, going forward, if you encounter that sort of situation again or similar, I guess you can lean on that knowledge and show the client, well, hey, there's going to be these extra costs, or how do you think you might tackle that?
Well, I guess it's case by case, really, but look, this whole shift's been pretty interesting for me. It's been transformative, really, because we started off with about I think at the point of the announcement of BC, we had 175 clients, and I'm now down to 22.
Really?
Yeah. But it has been probably a very good thing, because all of the clients that really don't make any money, they just cost you money, they're all gone. I've been very, very picky about who I wanted to retain, and the per monthly spend per client is now considerably higher. So I'm focusing on more specialised services, and it's affected the revenue a bit, but actually not that much. but it has certainly affected the quality of the clients. Getting rid of the trash has been a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you always read about that 80-20 rule, get rid of all those clients that are costing you money, really. But it's such a hard thing to do on your own accord. It's good to be forced to do that. So, yeah, BC's definitely
certainly done that. Yeah, it certainly forced that issue, as you say, and that's probably been beneficial.
Good thing, yeah.
One thing just to finish on the Shopify, one thing that's coming up a lot for us lately has been API integration with both EDI and ERP systems.
Yeah.
And, Shopify has the open API capabilities and being able to access data both back and forth. So once Treeple has that, secure open API functionality, it's going to be a game changer. I know they're just doing Zapier, but that's kind of limited to the Zaps that you can do on Zapier. But once that API functionality opens up, it certainly opens up a lot for me from a warehousing inventory management standpoint, for sure. Because, I mean, nobody's, honestly, at the end of the day, like, big clients are not managing their inventory on the website. They're managing it in another system, and they need to get that data over a little bit easier. So,
yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because I would have thought that these other systems were getting clients because of connectivity, because of those third-party apps. But I guess, as you said, it's more the bigger clients that need that sort of connectivity. And that's where all the plugins and things like that with WordPress and Shopify come into it. But yeah, I think Treeple will get there definitely, and they'll probably knock that out of the park. So yeah, that'll be exciting to watch. Yes, I was just going to say, has anyone had a chance to have a good look at the rollout? Has it fixed issues that you were waiting on, and does it seem like it's been positive so far? I haven't had a chance.
The biggest trick has just been trying to follow the bugs that have been fixed versus then they were fixed in like 6.1.2, and you're like, oh, awesome. And then you go to 6. The next version, you're like, oh shit, that's back in there. So you're like, you kind of get lost. Now you just kind of hands up in the air. You're just like, you know what? I'm just going to wait until this is done, because I don't know what's breaking, what's working. So, but the ability to be able to duplicate live sites has been awesome, because I know that functionality wasn't available. So I've been testing, some pretty complex live sites that I have on it, and it seems like everything's working. So I feel like better, when it goes live to when it gets pushed to live sites. But trying to keep up with the bug fixes is because you're just so excited. Like, finally, something's running fast, and like my categories are working, and my filter is working. I'm like, cool. And then you go in the next day, you're about to start working. You're like, damn it. Yeah. So then it stops your process, and you get to like write it down somewhere, like to go back and check to make sure it was fixed. And so not that they're going to be doing this again anytime soon, I'm assuming, but having some sort of repository of bug fixes, versioning, all that kind of stuff where we can visually see it is huge, especially for us as key partners.
Yeah. Do you have the new version rolled out to all your sites now?
Sorry,
Aaron. I mean, Aaron.
Sorry, you're asking me?
Yeah. Do you have the new version rolled out to all your live sites?
No. I had, there's one in particular that I wanted to test on, 6.1.2. So I just duplicated the site. So it's sitting as a trial site. So I know some people were able to get some of their live sites pushed to the new 6.0 architecture, but I'm not one of them. So I didn't want to go there. So no, I don't have any live sites right now.
Okay. I was just wondering, because I know some people do have quite a few and some people don't, but I haven't seen my live sites be updated yet.
Yeah, I think you had to request it, or you were on the panel to test or something.
Talking about bugs, this might be interesting to all of the people here. I asked about how they changed the array output. I don't know if you guys remember how they added square brackets. And so that was potentially going to cause some issues, especially if you're doing, various array methods and doing something complex with the output there. So I got a note from support. I don't know if this has been generally released, but that they're going to not change the way that arrays are output. So they're clawing that back.
Okay.
So that might be good news, because I have used that quite a bit throughout all my sites, but which ones and where? I mean, without spending an afternoon literally searching all my code bases, I wouldn't know. So I was almost waiting for it just to see what breaks, and then kind of doing the review after it was rolled out.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I'm just wondering, I guess if you've already implemented not a fix, but using the square brackets, I guess that will be compatible if they roll back as well, because it's not really going to change anything, would it? You're only accessing it as an array. It's still going to be an array, I would think. I know I have already fixed a few. Anyway, see if something breaks. I think originally when I was starting to roll this out, I was like, I'm going to push this to a few live sites straight away, because you want it. But as soon as the bugs started coming out, I just held right off. So I don't have any live sites with it. But hopefully we're at the end of it now, and we can start to see more stability. And as you said, Aaron, like having a bug list and that, I think going forward, once it's more stable, it won't be such a big issue. I think there's probably only going to be a handful of bugs at any given time, hopefully more manageable. So, I know the team's been working super hard, crushing all these bugs. And I had word just earlier that Eugene and Igor both had baby girls, like yesterday or last night. So they've been super busy too. So congratulations to them. And lots of stuff happening there at the Treeple end.
I guess the upside of all this is that at least all this is, or most of it's being caught with the trial sites. So I think they've really taken steps to make sure that those bugs are kind of all ironed out before they push these big updates to live sites, which I really appreciate, because I can spend a bit of time with the trial site if something changes because of a release, but it's a different thing when there's a bug that crops up in a live site.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it has sort of hindered new development a little bit, and I guess in hindsight, it would have been better to sort of opt in to, basically you could create a trial site on either 5.9 or 6, but I guess they just didn't see that happening to the extent it did. Hopefully this is all behind us now. So I'll just check the chat here for a second.
Ryan, I have no official word if you have a green light or not, but I'm giving a big red light on my end, and we are not launching anything until I know it is working, because I'm sick of people complaining to me about it. So we're holding off on everything at the moment.
Okay, thank you for that input. I'm just, I've got clients that have been waiting 2 or 3 weeks that are really starting to lose their patience.
We're in the exact same boat, and I've said to them, I'm not willing to launch something that's subpar. So if they want it to work, they can wait.
Sure.
Yeah, look, I think it's probably wise to wait. It's always wise to wait, but I do know you are going to be able to request 6.1.4 ahead of time too for any live sites, so you can push that through earlier. So I think that has the final bug fixes and improvements, performance improvements.
Is it safe to say right now, if you have a trial site that you've gone through and it's all up and working, is it pretty safe to say that it's safe to launch at this point? It's a very basic site. They want to launch it this evening, and I've already put them off for 2 weeks. And from what I see, everything's there and it's working. But I talked them down from the WordPress Lodge. So now they're asking me why. It's kind of hard to answer.
Yeah, it's hard to answer. Nothing's ever safe, but I would think it's a pretty safe bet to if you said it's a simple site, I think you'd be pretty okay with launching.
Okay, yeah, I have a couple more complex sites that have e-commerce and more additional functionality, but this is a very basic, just informative brochure type site. So I'm hoping I can't find any issues with it. So I'm thinking about giving it a go against my better judgment.
Yeah, I think you'd be okay with a simple site. Definitely, if you've got e-commerce, I wouldn't launch now, because I think e-commerce has been the last sort of things that they've been working on with version 6. So yeah, and there's still a bit of a performance issue with e-commerce, so I would hold off there. So I think Scott, as you asked about talking about 6.1.4 and activating sites. Not sure what you mean exactly, but I just know that.
Maybe I didn't hear properly, but I heard you mention making a request of the platform to push to 6.1.4 before the broader release of 6.1.4. Can you offer any insight on that?
Yeah, so I think it was just briefly mentioned. Let me just see if I can see some notes.
I think it was Alex that brought it up in a previous Slack channel that he was going to be targeting a few partners to just test and make sure everything was okay.
Yeah, so it says here, so 0.4 is being tested now, and they plan to release it next week. But partners can request getting 0.4 earlier if they want to. Just create a support ticket. So yeah, obviously, if you want to check, and that's going to help them find extra bugs as well if more people can do that. So, but if they're going to release it next week anyway, there's not going to be much ahead of time sort of time frame there anyway. So, but yeah, I think Alex mentioned that it's pretty well past all their automated testing and whatnot. So, I think we're pretty well at the smoother end of things, and hopefully it's going to be pretty stable from now on. So
I wonder, Adam, like I know a few of us are quite reliant on custom modules and our own, loosely speaking, our own web app development. But I wonder if that's true of the broader Treeple world. Like it wasn't unusual for us to create sites on BC that were all custom module driven. And of course, we've, for better or worse, feels like worse the last 3 weeks, I'll be blunt, but for better or worse, we've continued that behavior on Treeple, right? We're driving most of our properties out of web app records or custom module records in the new world. And then, of course, we have all these inter-module dependencies, as you might expect. So does anyone have a sense, like, are all of us doing that? I mean, that's the reason why Treeple was attractive over Shopify, or certainly over WordPress to me, was that we could continue that behavior that, that we established on the BC world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was the main draw to BC. The web apps were amazing. So that's definitely how I build. And Treeple followed that pattern. I mean, even their built-in system modules are based on the web app custom module framework. So you could just get rid of all the system modules and build them all with custom modules, and they'd be exactly the same. So yeah, that's definitely, if you're developing custom things, that's how you would do it. But I think a lot of the users who aren't developer focused, or they're more on the marketing side and sales and design, probably rely on the built-in system modules and rely on that functionality working. So I think there would be more people in that boat, particularly coming from BC. You're going to have all the end user clients who've been left behind, who have no partners on BC anymore, and they're all going to be coming over and just expecting things to work. And so, yeah, not knowing how to develop stuff in a custom way like that. So, yeah. But, either way, at the end of the day, the architecture is the same in the system. So,
Adam, are we still sharing stuff on the Treeple, the Treehouse community site codebase?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. I just came up with a really cool dark to light mode toggling.
Oh yeah.
with some script and some includes, and it's really cool. So we'd love to share that.
Yep, excellent.
It's pretty simple stuff. So
okay. Yeah, it's taken me a little while to get things up there these days because I'm a bit busy, but yeah, I'll definitely put it up there for sure. So yeah, if anyone's got any little snippets of code or things that have helped them, feel free to send them through and I'll put them up on Treehouse. So I think that's pretty much all I have to discuss. Does anyone want to talk about their experiences with version 6, or anyone still having issues, or how is everyone's migrations going? And at the end of things?
I'm digging these reminder emails for hosting. That's pretty awesome. Kind of freaks me out because I didn't realize they were doing 2. So I was like, at first I think they were just doing the 3 days before, and then it's 30 days. So it's 2 now, which is great. But I was like, oh shit, did we collect the payment from these guys for their hosting? Then I realized it was a 30-day one. So right. I'm glad it's working. So that's pretty important to us.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny though. It's like we're pretty easy to please. Just do this little email reminder.
Yeah.
Check that off the list.
Just send you an extra email. You'll be happy. But how do people manage billing? Like, I assume most people are some sort of automated billing or credit card billing, monthly, yearly.
Well, I use the recommendation that Aaron gave me. So I use Stripe and my Super Portal, and on the client can go in and update their own credit cards and do their monthly billing that way. So thank you, Aaron. That recommendation that you made to me, it was a few months back, about 4 recurring payments for clients to be able to go into my Super Portal and update their own details. It's been great for me. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But it looks like that's also going to be available on the Treeple sites now too, right? With the new Stripe. Is that in this version or in upcoming versions like 6.2? I can't remember. The user Stripe portal, basically.
Got a lot of feedback there. David, is it?
Yeah, that one I saw on the...
You're breaking up there, David. Can't hear anything. But yeah, I think it is released now in the release. But yeah, they've integrated that. So any reoccurring orders will create a special link to the Stripe customer portal. I'm not sure how exactly that works. I haven't played with that, but it looks pretty cool. But yeah, switching to automated monthly, reoccurring billing has just been a lifesaver for my business when I switched back like years ago. But yeah, collecting payments always an issue.
Yeah, we just do the annual. So we just bill our clients annually. It seems to be the easiest solution for us, and we just mark it up a little bit, just for random support stuff like this. And then they can pay us via e-transfer or whatever, right? So it's way easier.
Okay. Yeah.
Nobody's talking, so I pop in. I wanted to ask you guys if anybody else has kind of or had problems with the new IDs we have in the system. Like, I know that some of the issues have been fixed by now because the new IDs for CRM and other things, like 20-digit long IDs, had caused some problems. Some stuff was breaking, like custom CRM records, for instance, could not be like related. Anybody else who had problems with that? I mean, we were using those IDs actually for event emails, like autoresponder emails on events. We were always putting those IDs on the email saying this is your registration ID, which will be awkward now because it's 20 digits long.
Yeah.
so far the only thing. Anybody else having problems with that in any kind of way?
I'm going to try to talk again. Hopefully this thing works.
Yeah, that sounds better, David.
But all right, so I was using that in a way to map the ID of the secure zone to have different things display and not display based on that, and that threw me off. So I had to change it because the secure zone name could possibly read the customer was changing the names on it. So I thought the ID is a better way to go, but now I had to go back to using the name, and I just have to update the code if they decide to change the secure zone name because the ID thing broke it off.
Yeah, so I haven't come up against any issues as such, but I can see that it will become an issue. But I did hear that I think Vlad mentioned that they were going to try and go back to shorter IDs. I think it's just going to require a bit of work on their end. So I think they're going to do away with the 20-digit IDs.
I saw on the CRM today, because I was looking it up immediately after 6.13 came out, that there are IDs again on CRM items. They're not 20 digits. They're like usual 3 digits or so. And there's a couple of stuff. There's also entity ID, which I probably not quite get what these different IDs are on CRM items. Yeah, but that's good news if they make it shorter, because we also have the problem when we export to Excel and, for instance, regular custom module items, and you have the template ID and you want to swap it around. Excel is not taking those 20 digits. If it's numeric, you have to change it to string. I mean, that's a trick I told you. I think I wrote this to you, Adam, quite some time ago.
Yeah.
Like when you guys export custom module items and you want to play with template IDs, go to that Excel column and change it to string. Don't do it as it comes out, because it will change it to this, how's it called? This other kind of numeric exponential
or something.
thing with weird thing. For long numbers, so change it to string and it will work, but it would be better if we wouldn't have to do that.
Yeah. So from what I understand, the new longer ID was a combination of several other IDs in the system. So it was so they're breaking that back apart again. So that's why you're seeing those extra IDs, I think. I'm not quite sure, but that's my understanding. So there might be several IDs that come available now. So that may be an extra benefit for different things. But yeah, with the Excel thing, that happens with a few things, like even with the true false statements, dates as well. It's best to just try and change everything to text or string. Otherwise it can mess that up.
We also had I think it was only on a few instances that, for instance, products got messed up throughout the upgrade process. Like I think must have been 6.0 and 6.1 something. I'm not sure when, but at some point suddenly all the products were broken, like custom properties were missing and stuff like that. Did you guys have this too in your instances? What did you do about it? I mean, we contacted Treeple support and they rolled it back and re-upgraded it. So that worked for us. What are your experiences with that?
In our world, it wasn't so much on the product side. It was all the ID associations we had between custom modules and different iterances of the release here since 6. It seems like they treated them differently. So a fix would work for a couple of days, and then when there was another release, that fix would, in effect, rescind itself. And we haven't yet, our sites are just now displaying 613, so we haven't validated as of today. But we had to take essentially different approaches to build our arrays and associate them, and it's been incredibly frustrating. I've got one site. This is going to sound crazy, but I got 8,000 or 9,000 objects in it, and nightmare is not an exaggeration. I literally did not sleep a couple of nights it's a big health sector client, and it's an important file for us. And thank the stars that we didn't have to release immediately. But breaking all those associations a couple of times has been, well, heartbreaking at best. But our experience was limited. Like, we have a few product associations, but they're very modest in the sites we're developing right now. I can't comment at all. I haven't tried Aaron's technique of duplicating a live site and seeing what happened. I'm encouraged to have you mention that you have tried that. I never even thought of trying that, and I will be trying it. But ours has been restricted to custom module associations, any kind of ID lookups. It's been incredibly inconsistent. So I'm encouraged to hear we're not alone. I know, Tillman, you reached out a couple of times on Slack there when I was venting. I appreciate that, by the way. Anyone who helped me along the way, helped us along the way, very much appreciated. I tend to vent, but yeah, I haven't seen as of today yet. I'm going to be looking now because I've got a couple of development sites, like others have expressed, that are very anxious to release. I'd promised releases in June, and they're anxious. So, but beyond that, I can't offer much value. Yeah.
I had a talk with Alex like a few weeks ago. Was very happy that he gave his time. Vlad was with him because I needed to address this thing with the IDs, because that really kind of was something important to us. And I also talked about another thing, what happened to Catherine when it came to analytics, because she was using a certain URL in the forms process for her analytics, and that changed very suddenly without notification, and she lost lots of data on her analytics. So I brought this up because in a nutshell, my point is that we should basically be more like included in these kind of changes. Like, if they want to change, for instance, the IDs, make them longer, would be nice to just reach out to the partners and say, is that something which will affect you? Are you using those IDs for something? The same with like changing URLs in this process. So I said that. And as always, like, Alex has an open ear for that, of course. And he was talking with Vlad for a very long time about this. I couldn't understand because they were talking Ukrainian. But in a nutshell, it's when this whole URL thing is over, I think there's more time to create a better communication when it comes to that. I think they're just very stressed out at the moment. And I saw that Alex was trying, but they can't integrate a process like that at the moment with all the lists they have, internal lists and stuff, just to include us in this process they have internally would cost too much time. And I'm on the same page because I want them to fix their stuff and I want them to do their coding properly and not having to deal with like creating new processes. But I think in October, after EOL, we will have the chance to like maybe invite Alex again to Treehouse and just try to create better processes when it comes to that for the future, like for the next 20 years, 30 years. Yeah, so that made me feel a bit better to know that there's still an open ear. But EOL will have to happen, and then we will see.
Yeah, definitely. And as I've said many times before on Treehouse and in the forums and things, that it's all just comes down to timing at the moment, doesn't it? Because it's such a push to try and get things ready, which is good. We need it to happen. So we just have to accept those areas where things are going to be lacking. But certainly, yeah, after end of life, it's just going to be such a relief. We can start focusing on some really positive changes. So, and I believe that they want to do all those things that you mentioned, Tim. So it'll definitely happen. Right. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to bring up or discuss? Can be totally unrelated, doesn't matter. Otherwise, might call it a day and I'll stop the recording. All right, I'll end it there. Well, thanks for everyone for attending. It was a good rollout today. And yeah, see you next time.